Welcome to Joe's Astrology and Tarot. And tonight on the Nightly Tarot, I'm going to do a reading about work, just some general advice about work. And this may, you could use this to apply for yourself if you're looking for advice regarding work. And as I say in some of my other videos, I don't do tarot as a divination or prediction. I use astrology consultations for that. If you're interested in that, you can check out my astrology readings. They're very affordable right now. But for this, I'm going to just do a simple tarot reading for some advice when it comes to work. If you're looking for creative way here to figure out, just some things that might be going on with work, or some good ideas of ways to approach work. Maybe you want to change, maybe you're unsure about work right now, about where you're headed, just to give you some different ideas about how to handle it. That's what we're asking for here. So I'm going to do the Celtic Cross. Upright only. This is what covers you, the Chariot. This is what crosses you for good or bad. This is the basis of the situation. So we have the Chariot card is what is before you. The Magician is what crosses you. So I will use this book for a reference for some of the cards that I'm unsure about. The Chariot is one of those cards that I have not personally studied. So I'm going to use one of my reference books here by Eileen Connolly. It's a great book if you don't have it. It says the Chariot, important to exercise self-discipline. With continued effort, you can win the day and be triumphant. Okay, so self-discipline. This is what's before you. And this is what crosses you, the Magician. So far I see that it's important to remain disciplined when we're talking about work. Work changes, not to be impulsive, not to be rash. And Mercury rules the Magician card. You see the Magician, he has all his tools there. You're going to maybe do some self-reflection, maybe really analyze your situation and the tools that you have, and how you want to approach work in the future, and how it relates to a life that you want to live, or the life that you have to live, that you may have to live. Maybe for a certain situation, you don't have that many choices. There may be a lot to think about concerning those things. And the basis of the situation, the Strength card. Look that one up as well. The inner qualities representing love, patience, and gentleness are superior to material power, force, or hate. That's the basis of the situation. So it looks like you could say, having, taking more of a spiritual approach. I know Neptune is a planet that would rule the Strength card. Also, you could say Leo. But here, I'm looking at the inner qualities representing love, patience, and gentleness. They're superior to material power, force, and hate. So the basis of the situation here is, it could be forcing a change, or remaining rather than remaining patient. You could be many people could be in a situation with work where they're trying to change because they're unhappy, and they want to force it, and they want to change based on that, rather than based on some of the things I talked about here. Really using your magical powers, your powers of discrimination, your powers of planning, to really think through all of these things, rather than just making a rash decision based on maybe some coworkers that you might not like, or a bad day that you might be having. Oftentimes I notice with astrology in my life, that I'll have a bad day that wouldn't even be my fault, and I just literally want to quit. And then, a couple of days later, the transits pass, and magically these people like go back to normal. And it's not always the case, but in many cases, sometimes the shift is amazingly different. So this is what's behind you in the process of leaving. This is what crowns you could come into being. And this is before you. So we see maybe, in the past there was you really started on this journey of work a long time ago. Many people think that they have, they might maybe in a job for only so much time, but really we all started this work journey much earlier than we think. Even if you have had multiple jobs, the idea of working, if you just started working maybe 10 years ago when you're younger, this is the beginning of making money. That journey started a long time ago. That's in the past. Even if you have a new job that's different, you still have all that experience backing you, and that is something we want to keep in mind, that we're never really, like me, I'm in my 40s. I'm 41. So, I don't care what job I start that's new. I'm not starting new. I have a lot of experience. I have a lot of work experience, life experience backing me. And that's something that I'm going to keep in mind here, seeing this Ace of Pentacles behind me. That no matter what anyone says, I am not just getting started on this work and money journey. And this is what crowned you could come into being. You see it's the Seven of Pentacles. You see there he's working on the pentacle there. He's maybe working on making money, working on a craft. So this could be, something that with work that you think of, you're working on, you're always working on this idea of making money, how to make money. Like, for example, let's say you have a job and you're making $40,000 a year. You could see it as, no matter what it is, you could be working at a craft, and like say you're in an industry and you're working on that industry, and you're maybe working on a project. Even if you're a self proprietor, you may be working on a project, and that's building right now. But also you could look at it as if you're just a career person and you're making $40,000 a year. You're always working very slowly and patiently. We see that with that self-discipline card, on increasing that income. So your job may be very repetitive. You don't really have to get better at it, but you, in a sense, you're getting better at through discipline, increasing that income to 45, and then eventually to 50, and then maybe to 60, and just even if it's just slow increments. This is what's before you, the Three of Swords. So I'm gonna look that one up as well. It's hard to bear the pain of separation or to understand why we can be inflicted with such deep sorrow. So here we can see that what's before us, there could be a separation when it comes to work. So keeping all of this in mind, even if there is a change or a separation coming up, and we've done our due diligence, we've had this Magician card here, and we kept the Strength card in mind. And all the things that I said we may keep in the back of our mind. We still have a separation or a change, and it may be ugly. And that does not take away from everything that I mentioned previously here. And that's something to keep in mind, that we may have this change coming forward, or coming here in the future. But we're still going to do our due diligence so that we're prepared for this change, no matter how it comes. This represents your negative feelings. This represents the feelings of others. This represents your positive feelings, and this is the outcome. So negative feelings here, we see he's kind of giving some charity. He's got the scales there, looking for some balance. And you may be looking for some balance in this change, and you may have to give, like that, and that representing your negative feelings, you may have to give more than you want to give to make this happen. And this often happens a lot of times with work as well. We're only considering, as I said, we're only considering that money, we're at the situation where we're just constantly trying to increase our income, and we don't want to give, we don't want to take a step back. Often we don't want to quit, we don't want to spend time in between jobs. And here we're seeing that with the negative feelings and the feelings of others, is that there's a choice. A choice could be in some way or another being forced upon us to make a change financially. So even though we may not want to give in and do things in a way that's not what we want, we may have to here. And with the positive feelings is, if you do have to give in and you do have to take a rest, or you have to take a job that's not ideal or not really pushing forward, it may give you time to rest, even if the job's an easier job and that gives you time to rest. And we see here with the Four of Swords, oftentimes when, especially if you don't have a job and you're okay with that, and you're financially okay with that, you definitely have time to think and meditate and rest. But even if you get a job that's easy, taking a job that doesn't require as much thinking, or a job that allows you to think freely. You think of like warehouse jobs where they're just kind of like pushing boxes, or just things like that, where it's a little bit physical but not too physical, and you really can let your mind wander. It can be, even though it's work, it can be very relaxing mentally. And then we have the outcome here, the Judgment card. We'll look up a lot of cards tonight. Wonderful things are starting to happen. You have the ability to forge ahead and see what the future holds, break away from conventional thinking, and face life realistically. And oftentimes all of this does have a need to face life realistically. And that means you have to respect the physiology of the human. It's not a machine. We are not machines. If we find ourselves in these situations, it's not the end of the world. Again, like I said, started this work journey, most of us, a long time ago. And the way it works, it doesn't work as if you're on a conveyor belt where it's like your income has to continuously be going up. You have to remain in the same industry. You have to be doing the same thing. You have to keep your job resume in line, where it's clean and you're going from job to job cleanly. It doesn't really work like that. And we see that there with the Judgment card, that good things are always coming. It just might not be on your time. You see here, with the negative feeling, you might not want to give when it comes to these things. But really focusing on the Judgment card here is the outcome, and the Three of Swords before you. Break away from conventional thinking and face life realistically. Realistically, and I keep this in mind for myself, this separation happens so much. People are losing jobs all the time. That's why they have something called unemployment. This is not, break away and face life realistically. The idea that you're not going to have this process when it comes to work is not realistic. And if you can do that, you can you can free yourself. You see the children there really like celebrating this freedom. They're all naked. They're looking towards the archangel there. And this is can be a very spiritual process, and spiritual process in the sense that you aren't in control, and that other people may live their lives being in control and thinking that they're in control, and that's fine. But they probably aren't very spiritual people, because in a spiritual journey, you can really see how this all plays out, and how you can really give yourself up to the spirit, to God, to the source. And it's not to say to just let go. Remember, this idea of just let go and go with the flow is famous or popular. But it's to say when you get in these situations and you're still using your own analytical powers here with the Magician card. You're not just completely letting go. But when it comes down to it and you see there's no way out and it's the only way to go, you can even if you don't want to, you can see at that point you can release and say this is not under my control anymore. And things are going to work out. Things are going to work out in a different way that I'm just not aware of right now. So that's what we see here with the Judgment card. And I'm going to leave you there with that. And I hope you enjoy this reading and I hope this helps you. And have a great night.